Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where we are going to be trying out the new Urban Decay Stoned Vibes. Can we all just take a moment to appreciate this packaging? Look at this. It's like raised up, like you can feel it. It's so cool. Sorry, I just like super excited about the packaging. Anyway, so this, I actually think it's like, the release date seemed to say that it doesn't come out till like tomorrow or something, but ta-da, it's already here. I didn't pick up the full collection, so I just have the palette to show you today. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some swatches, show you what the formula is like for these special shades, these new kind of beautiful shimmery things here inside of the palette. I'm going to show you 3 different looks, and then I'm also going to show you some dupes, so which other eyeshadow formulas are pretty much the same as these kind of special shades in this palette. So if that sounds interesting to you, please keep watching. For those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Carolyn, welcome to my channel. So I think, I don't know, this is like my opinion, and also from like watching a lot of beauty YouTube, is that we've all been moderately disappointed with Urban Decay over the past year, couple of years, like not really being very creative or very inventive with what they're doing, and then also having like disappointing releases. So what was out, let's just think of like a calendar year. So there was the Naked Honey palette that came out end of last year, which I really like. Then there was the Wired palette, the colorful one, which was a car crash. Then there was the Ultraviolet, which I actually enjoy, but I know a lot of people didn't really care for. And now they have this one, which is the Stoned Vibes collection. So let's just go ahead and open it up. I'm just going to take out the brush because otherwise it's going to fall out. So I'm sorry, you're going to get a lot of, let me just see if I can do it like this. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay, so we have 4 matte colors, one on kind of either corner, and then there are 8 more kind of shimmery looking shades. So the formula of these is really, really interesting, and I'll show you the swatches before we actually dive in and kind of play with these so you can see that. But what we have is, it looks like a colorful story, but once they are swatched, it is much more muted and more neutral than you think, which if you enjoy more neutral tones, you're gonna really, I think, enjoy the color story in this palette. However, some of them are very pigmented and are really very colorful, so those of us who like color, I think, are also going to enjoy some of these shades. So I took some swatches actually yesterday, and I want to pop those up because they were brand new, natural lighting, kind of exactly how they looked out of the box. So here you have them swatched on my arm, my only arm without some tattoo on it right now. And so what you have is the top row and then segueing into the bottom row from left to right, I think, as you're seeing it one side to the other. So we have the first 4 shimmer shades. So we have, let me open the palette. So the Good Karma one you probably can't really see in this swatch at all because it's my skin color, maybe even a little bit lighter. Then we have Jade, Opal Aura, Tiger's Eye, and Vibes. Then there are 2 more mattes. We have Antidote, which is kind of like a peachy nude kind of color, and then Hexed, which is a red-brown kind of neutral color. And then we have the next bunch of the shimmers. So we have Bloodstone, Ojo, or Ojo, Ojo I think is how you would say it, right? Raw Energy, and then Meditate. And then the last one is a matte with a little bit of shimmer to it, so it's kind of more of a satin formula. And then I'm just going to play this little video here on the side for a second so you can see how they kind of look in just super natural lighting. There was no ring light, no box light, nothing. And I actually think that's really important with these because what you're seeing on my face right now is I have a ring light on, and if I swatch them on my arm, you're going to get that kind of ring light effect. So these are all just natural swatches of this. So you can see that these shimmer shades are very reflective and they're very intense looking. So I just want to show you a couple. So this one is Jade, okay? So it's much more kind of, it's like a yellow, green, kind of khaki tone. So I'm just going to go ahead and swatch on the back of my hand just so you can see how this works. Okay, and then I'm just buffing it out a little bit so you can see the shimmer to it. Okay. So that is, oh, sorry, I know I'm getting very close, but I want you guys to be able to see that. So that is the Jade color. Then let's go into the next one, is Opal Aura, which is this one, which is definitely going to be, it is essentially like an opalescent, like a lavender kind of opal tone to it. If you can see it right there. But one thing I wanted to show you, and I'm just going to clean my hand off, is I just want to put down a tiny little bit of a glitter primer here on my hand. Come on, my friend. All right, so we're going to take a different one. We're going to take Raw Energy, which is a really pretty kind of purpley toned one. So this is what it looks like. So just down here, this is what it looks like with no primer right there. And then we'll go back into it. Okay. And on top of kind of that glitter primer. And I don't know, I'm hoping that you can tell, but this is way more intense with like that tacky glitter primer base than without it. So first off, thinking about the formula of these new shadows, they are definitely kind of like a creamy, they definitely have really tiny micro glitter in them, but they are not a chunky glittery formula. The best analog that I can give you for how they feel is like if you've tried the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow formula. So it's almost like a soft, kind of creamy formula, not quite as soft, but it has that similar kind of feeling to it. And I will say, just right off the bat, these work 100% better with a finger than with a brush. So I would not really recommend using them with a brush. The only thing is that they do tend to kind of start getting packed down as you use them. So you may need to go in with a brush just to kind of grab some more stuff out and then go back in again with a finger, because they're too, what's the right word? They're a bit too loose or flaky or kind of crumbly a little bit to really be successfully used with a brush. I did manage to use it with one, and I'll show you that look in a few minutes, but it's not what I would recommend. So all of the shimmer formulas work pretty much the same. There isn't a lot of difference between them. Some of them have a base color and some of them don't. So for example, Bloodstone, this one, which looks, it's like a green-red duochrome. We've seen a color like this in many different palettes, so it's not really that special, but it definitely has like a red base underneath and then like this kind of green cast in it. I think it's really pretty. It's just not like particularly special. Whereas other ones, I think like, which one, like Tiger's Eye, this one here, it's almost more of just like no base under it. It's just kind of the shimmers without a color underneath. Let's see, the blue one, Ojo. This one is, it definitely has like a blue base, but because the glitter particles are also blue, like you can't really tell too much. These ones are really opaque, whereas these ones like Opal Aura and Vibes and Tiger Eye and Raw Energy are more like, they're just the glitter particles without any other color underneath. Meditate also has a little bit of a dark base to it. It's right here. But that's fine, and I think it still works out really, really well. Jade? I don't think Jade has any base in it, really. That one's Jade there. So I think these are all really, really stunning colors. It's definitely, like I said, it's definitely on the more muted side. They're not neutrals, but they're definitely more muted. Sorry, I'm sitting here playing with the tissue. They're definitely more muted tones. The mattes in this palette are perfectly fine. They are regular brown mattes. They work great. No issues, no qualms there. I think with these shimmers, I don't know what they're specifically calling them. Do they actually have a name? I think they just call them creamy prismatic shimmers. And they say, just so you can hear what the actual unit carton says, is this creamy buildable formula is best when touched and swiped. For a more intense color payoff, use your fingers with the marbleized shimmer shades. So it's definitely like, use your fingers and then you can kind of buff it with a brush afterwards if you want to like fade it out, but you definitely can't really use them like you would with a different shimmer shade. They're too creamy. for that. You could kind of scoop them probably and then like slather them on, but I think you would be wasting a huge amount of product. My only concern with that is that I do feel that some of them are starting to get a little bit packed. Like they're so delicate that as you put your finger in them to like try and pick up the formula, they start to like pack in a little bit. But I think if you just can kind of pick it back up with a brush or something just to like reactivate it and then go back in with the finger, I think they'll be fine. Thank you. So just one more time, upside down. There you go. Okay, so let me show you these guys in action. Where am I going to scoot to? I'm going to scoot to this side this time. It's my normal scooting position. Okay, so I did 3 different looks, trying 3 different approaches, 2 different approaches really. So for the first look, I wanted to just do something really, I don't want to say basic, but a straightforward look using this palette. So while I'm not a huge fan of like just having brown mattes in a palette, I think because of how subdued and neutral these shimmery colors are, it does kind of make sense to have like a brown base to work from and then to put these on top of it. So for the first one, I decided to start, oh, by the way, the primer I used for the all over my eyes is the Too Faced Shadow Insurance, and then the glitter primer I'm using is the NYX, just regular glitter primer. So I started with Good Karma. It is the color of my skin. It might be a good setting shade. There's going to be no other use for me with this particular color. So for me, it's a bust as far as the color goes, but I can use it to kind of blend out some of the other colors. Then I went in with Hexed. I started with a small dense brush or like just a smaller eyeshadow brush, and I wasn't liking how it was applying, so I just switched to a larger, more fluffy brush, and I think it worked much, much better with that big fluffy brush. I also went into Antidote a little bit, and just so you can see one more time, these are the colors. Where is it? This one's Antidote, and this one is Hex. So Antidote is kind of the peachy brown, light brown, and then Hex is the red brown color. And so once I had the base of all of the browns down, essentially, and I was happy with the way it looked, I went ahead and took the glitter primer and put it all over the lid portion of my eye, let it set for 30 to 60 seconds, however long the packaging sets for, and then I decided to use Tiger's Eye in this, just to go all across the lid. I don't know if you see my reaction in this, but I was so surprised at how shimmery and how liquid metal these looked on the eye. They are gorgeous. I'm really, really, really impressed with it. So that's why I'm suggesting I think you need a glitter primer to make these look as best as they can. This NYX one is very cheap, so that's just my suggestion if you really want to make these pop. I think they would work without it, but you'll see in the next look why I think you need them. So I did Tiger's Eye all over the lid, and then I just went in with a little bit of Opal Aura in the inner corner of my eye, just for funsies, because it seemed like the right thing to do. I don't know. So when I originally saw this palette, one of the first things I thought of is that some of these colors would be good just all over the lid. So without any mattes, just one shimmer or 2 shimmers all over the lid. So I decided that Bloodstone, because it had that kind of dark reddish brown base, that it might be one of the better ones to do like all over the lid. You're going to get the most impact with it, the most color payoff. So I initially tried to go in with a brush. Now, where are you? So this is the brush that I tried to go in with, just so you guys can see. This is just a Real Techniques, it says a crease prep brush. Now, what I use this for is for my Super Shock shadows. Because it's just really dense and good for like packing it on, it picks up the color well, and then you can kind of buff it in. Initial application of this, it absolutely does not work that way. So what you have to do is go in with the finger, put most of it on, then use a brush like this or anything else that I think is really dense to buff and blend it out, and then great, then it definitely works. But what you'll notice is that it's not that intensely shimmery. So what I did is I decided to go back with the glitter primer, and I put that all over the lid again. This is once everything was buffed out with the one color, Bloodstone. And on the inner corner, I put Jade, and then I put more Bloodstone towards the outer corner. Then you can really see how much these shine and pop. Okay, so really the way in which you prepare your eye base is going to be important for the way that these colors are going to pay off for you. So I think both of these two first looks look really, really nice, and I'm very happy with them. So for this look, the one that I am wearing right now, I started with Third Eye, which is just the darkest brown in this. It has a little bit of a satin finish and a slight purpley brown tone to it. So it's a little bit more interesting, maybe a little bit more on the cool side. So I went in with Third Eye, and then I buffed it out with Antidote. Like I said, I don't think Good Karma is really going to be useful for me in this palette. Maybe it is for you, but it's too light really for me to use. So, and I'm almost as fair as it gets. Not quite, but close. So I did that and got kind of the base down. And then I went in with Meditate over the middle part of the eye. And again, once you have that glitter primer down and you put these on, it's just transformative and they look so stunning and so beautiful. Then I wanted a little bit more kind of shimmer to it. So on the kind of inner third of the lid, I went with Vibes. So I have this kind of slightly silvery to slightly pinkish transition in the shimmers. And I think it looks stunning. It really does in life. It looks wet and reflective. Sorry, I'm looking in the mirror down here, and almost duochromatic in the way that it presents. So I think I'm really excited about this particular eye look, and actually all the ones I did with this palette so far. So, okay, so matte formula, good, but Good Karma, it's a bit of a useless shade for me. All of the shimmers work the same as each other, so I think the quality of those is very, very good. My main suggestion, if you do choose to pick up this palette, is that make sure that you have a good primer to use underneath of it, because I really can see how much of a difference it makes. And you could argue that, well, why do I have to buy something special to make these shadows work? And for me, it's something I already had, so it's not a big deal. And to get a result like this, I think it's well worth it. So that's my 2 cents on that point. Now, I'll give you my final thoughts in a moment, but I just wanted to talk briefly about some other formulas that are the same or very similar to this shimmer formula in the Stoned Vibes palette. So as I've already mentioned, we have the ColourPop Super Shock formula. So the Super Shock formula is definitely softer, but it's the same kind of creamy, wet kind of consistency. Okay, it's just, sorry, there we go. It's just this one up here. So you can see that it's a little bit samey. What I have noticed with these Urban Decay ones is that they are more glittery underneath. And the reason I noticed that is because when I was taking it off, when you look on like the, you know, like the back of one of these little cotton pads, it's like packed with glitter. So there is glitter in this, it's just very, very fine. Some of them are more glittery than others. The lighter colored ones without a dark base are definitely more glittery than the darker colored ones. But I know you can't see it, but this whole hand is completely covered in glitter now. Tiny, tiny, tiny micro glitter. Okay, so that's the first one, the Super Shock shadows, but the Super Shock shadows are not as glittery and sometimes not quite as wet looking. The next one that might be the most obvious is actually the Huda Beauty New Nudes. Let me just open this up. And we have what looks like almost the identical formula here in these special shades. What are they called? Multi-reflective shadows, I think. And they have the same kind of feel and look. The Huda ones are a little bit softer. So this is one of the Huda Beauty ones. Right here. But they're again not quite as shimmery and shiny as the Stoned Vibes. But essentially, as far as I can tell, the formula is pretty much the same. Just a little bit difference in the textures, which means there probably just has a slight difference in the formulation. And then lastly, for what I think are some dupes, there might be other dupes in my collection, other things, but these are the ones that kind of came to mind right away, is actually from Kiko Milano, and these are the Magnificent Eyeshadows. These were part of their Unexpected Paradise collection, but what you can see, I hope, is that they have that same kind of multi-colored, like there's inclusions in it, almost like a gemstone, like there's little pieces of like opalescent stuff. So let me just go ahead and show you. Very similar feeling, very soft. These ones come off a little bit more easily and they're a little bit softer, but they're more like, they give the appearance more of like a normal shimmer, whereas the Urban Decay ones are definitely going to give you something that's a little bit more kind of wet looking. Let me just come back into raw energy here. Okay. Alright, so this is the Kiko Milano one here, and this is the Urban Decay one. So it's more glittery and a little bit more chrome looking when you have the base underneath of it. So if you don't want to splash out for this one, you could try, like if you have the Huda Beauty, those are really similar. These Kiko Milano ones are similar in consistency and formula, but not so much in the colors that you get. These are more opaque, the Kiko ones, and are good just as a once all over kind of shadow. The Super Shocks are, I feel, very similar, but again, the colors are a bit different and the Urban Decay ones are more glittery. Okay. Final thoughts. I like this. I actually think this is a really nice palette and I'm pretty excited about it. I think it works as a companion palette. Of course it will do standalone work because I managed to get a couple of really beautiful looks just using this palette. But it kind of is like, maybe I was doing like a really beautiful green look. I would come into this one for a topper shade. Or I was doing a beautiful blue look or a beautiful purple look. I might want to come back into this palette to pick up those shades to really accentuate the looks that I'm doing. So while I've only been playing with this for a short while, I did just get it yesterday, and so it's really kind of playing with it yesterday and playing with it all day today. I think this is really nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wear this look for the rest of the day. And then this video is going to go up before I finish my day. I'll put a pinned comment down below if I notice that they crease after like an hour or 2 hours or anything like that. So do check the pinned comments down below, kind of later this evening, whenever. I will update it in there. And if I do find any really major problems, I will update the video at some point. Alright guys, I think that's going to be it for this little review. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know, are you interested in picking this one up? I put the swatches and kind of the initial pics up on Instagram, and you guys really were gravitating towards it right away, so I think there might be a lot of interest in this palette. I'm pretty happy to have it. I'm definitely going to use it. It's a bit bulky and a bit heavy to like take away like for travel, but it'll definitely be one that's going to stay on my on the top of my dresser, I think, for quite a while. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, you could hit the like button down below. You could subscribe, come hang out with me again. I would really hugely appreciate that. And yeah, I hope you have a really, really lovely day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.